A lot of times we put emphasis on law enforcement. We got to police our own communities. Yes, the police are paid to perform a duty, but we as citizens have a duty too. Growing up in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, like I've had family members that's been shot, I had family members that's been robbed, I had family members that's been murdered. It's something that I've seen my whole life. At the age of 10 or 11, there was a shooting. In the process of that shooting, I was apprehended by police officers. Put in the car, asked me who did it, what was going on. And actually at that age, I was just running, I was scared, I didn't know. So at that moment, it made me start to look at the police like, I can't trust you. I first encountered violence at a very young age. Went from selling drugs to breaking in houses to stealing cars, so it just started escalating. From that to fighting to hitting people with things to guns. First time I was incarcerated, I think I was 13, I went to Tyler detention home. Then I went to juvenile, a couple of arrests back and forth, and then I went in. So it was like in a span of 26 years, I probably was home 8 or 9 months. I was actually sent to St. Brian after being on major institutions for over 18, 19 years. So when I got to St. Brian, and Mr. Donovan came to me one day, he was like, I just got this new job with Prison Fellowship. They ready to take the worst building on St. Brian and turn it into the Prison Fellowship Academy. The principles of Prison Fellowship, they did like actually directly impacted and affected my life. Coach Donovan came in on days he don't work. All he did was hit a coffee pot and said, if you want to come in and get a cup of coffee and sit down and talk, you can. And that cup of coffee created so much dialogue in that office, it starts to create change. Because I know, because I'm one of the guys that went and got the coffee. I got out of prison June 10th, 2019. For me, coming back to Portsmouth was, the greatest part about it was to be able to start to execute and implement change by the way I walk and do the things I do now with the people that actually had seen me in a different light. One of the neighborhoods I grew up in, it actually reminded me of prison immediately. When I got there, the community that I was raised in had a gate around it. I got to speaking with a few people that I dealt with, and I was like, man, I just want to do something. So I had some people that actually brought into my passion. And one of the guys that I was with actually said, let's just get back to the block. It's a blessing that we have a police chief that actually believes in what's going on. So we had to sit down. Those people don't call people like us to the table, if you understand what I'm saying. For a police chief to call in somebody who the city or localities or whatever had written off as being these people and say, I want to have a sit down and see how we can work together, that right there was a major move. People called us before they called the police. They didn't trust them. They didn't trust the police, period. Our police chief can tell you firsthand how valuable credible messengers are. Like, they call us, if it's a shooting, they'll call us. Look, man, it was just a shooting out here. Like, man, call the police. So now the gap is being bridged when we say, look, even though you calling us, call them too. As a credible messenger and a violence interrupter, we do not solve a case. It's about being able to be credible enough that when it happens to say, we can provide you with whatever resource you need, whatever outlet you need in order to de-escalate this thing. Incredible what we do is because every act that's being committed out there, we lived it. A lot of times we put emphasis on law enforcement. We gotta police our own communities. Yes, the police are paid to perform a duty, but we as citizens have a duty too. A safer community creates a safer environment, which creates a safer society. So it starts one block at a time, one house at a time, one child at a time.